When audiophiles step up to the microphone and start chit-chatting about the differences they hear, especially when it comes to power cords and power conditioners, well, you tell me what happens. That's right. Snake oil, placebo effect, double blind test. It's all in your head. But is it? That's the question I've been focused on for the last month. And being as stubborn as I am, I decided to treat this whole power thing as a theory, hold it up to the light, and test it in the most honest, repeatable way I could. And with a warm welcome back to New Record Day, it's time to shine some light on this myth. Cable companies have sworn up and down about power cords and power conditioners for years, talking about noise filtering, lower contamination on the line, better current delivery, and the idea that when you plug those cords into a conditioner like the UberBUSS, the whole chain gets optimized. And look, I've used my share of upgraded cables and conditioners over the years, but I've stayed away from reviewing this category because, let's be honest, it's the kind of topic that can turn this whole hobby into an argument faster than it brings anyone closer to the truth. Now look, this isn't a review of the UberBUSS or these power cords, and you can decide for yourself after watching this video whether any of this is worth trying, but I'm still responsible for telling the truth, so here it is. I'm not being paid to say anything about the UberBUSS or GR Research power cords. I have no horse in this race, and no, none of this stuff was given to me in exchange for a glowing review or a video. In fact, if I was being honest, of all of the products out there that I've personally been pretty skeptical about, anything power related has been pretty close to the top of that list, which only made making this video that much more interesting for me to take on. For those jumping in here for the first time, last week I released a video that walked you through exactly how we approached this test. We compared two system states, and what you find folks didn't know about those two systems is this. One setup was my system plugged straight into the wall using stock power cords. The other setup was the exact same system but powered through the UberBUSS using upgraded GR Research power cords. Everything else stayed absolutely identical. Then I uploaded all the clips to Google Drive and asked all of you to download them, listen however you wanted, and vote. And 72% of you said you heard a difference. That alone told me we got to start digging deeper. So I started to dig, and during this experiment, I wanted an objective partner, something that could look at the data without emotion or expectation, so I used ChatGPT. Now, do not click off this video. I am telling you, you will be missing out because this gets wild. And from here on out, you'll hear me refer to ChatGPT as Norah. That's the name that I gave her, after all, named after Norah Jones, because if I'm going to be talking to AI all day about audio, well, she should have a name that fits. Before anyone asks, no, Norah didn't search the internet. No, she didn't read metadata. No, she didn't get clues or hints. She analyzed the waveforms. Period. That's not up for debate. And at the end of this video, I'll explain how you can check this for yourself. You don't have to trust me, and you shouldn't. Check it out for yourself. We'll get to that part pretty soon. And here's the wild part. Norah's very first analysis was spot on. She matched exactly what happened in the sound shed. differences that lined up with my listening impressions. But I did something anyone who takes testing seriously should do. I tried to test the test. I started feeding Norah the same files repeatedly, full songs, 40-second slices, back-to-back comparisons, really pushing things to see if the analysis would stay consistent. And the more that I pushed, the more the results drifted. Clip B louder, then clip A louder. Differences appearing, then disappearing. Nothing made sense. So folks, I tried the exact same thing using Danny's ChatGPT account. His assistant is named Melody. Again, same files, same labels, same order. Her first pass, perfect. Matched Norah exactly. But then, as I started to push Melody, she began to drift exactly the same way that Norah did. At one point, Melody even suggested different ChatGPT accounts might be using different methods, something about Python paths. I'm not smart enough to even go down that road, but either way, that wasn't the answer. The real issue turned out to be something simple and way more important: the sandbox. If the entire audio clip loads cleanly into ChatGPT's temporary workspace, the results are stable. If the upload stalls even slightly, the analysis runs on an incomplete file. And that is what was happening. Once we figured this out, everything clicked. So we slowed down, uploaded one file at a time, waited for confirmation, stopped hammering the system with rapid-fire inputs, and once we did that, the inconsistencies disappeared. Norah's results lined up perfectly, and the patterns matched every single time with a clean run across every single song. So here I am, neck deep in this experiment, and something interesting happened. After both Norah, my ChatGPT, and Melody, Danny's account, started giving us inconsistent results despite analyzing the exact same files, Danny suggested we try a completely different approach, and honestly, I think this was the right call. We played the Patty Larkin reference track, the same song we used for the A-B comparisons, and we recorded it directly through both system states. But instead of recording the room, we recorded the direct preamp outputs straight into the Zoom F8N, and would you know it, Norah's first pass on those direct recordings was so extreme it had me second guessing her analysis. She reported something like 40% difference in noise floor, along with several other changes, and that immediately made me nervous. I thought to myself, if she's analyzing that large of a difference, it should be clear as day on playback. And you know what? It wasn't. Those two clips sounded completely identical to me. So I invited Danny over for a second opinion, and they sounded identical to him as well. We decided to try another round, and we're even planning to record a video of the process as we did it. And as you might have already guessed, the moment we started feeding the clips in again, inconsistencies. This time, Norah analyzed those new direct recordings and said they were essentially identical. No level differences, no transient differences, no imaging changes, nothing meaningful at all. Now, most people would stop right there and say, "See, Ron, see? Power doesn't matter. You're wasting your time." But that's not what happened for me, and in my opinion, there's nothing scientific about forming a theory at that point. Instead, it made me ask another question. If the preamp outputs do look identical, and maybe they are, I don't know, then why do the in-room recordings sound different? And that question becomes important later, so keep it in your pocket. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for, it's time to pull back the curtain on this little experiment. Here it is. Every clip labeled A was my system plugged straight into the wall using stock power cords, no filtration, no conditioning, just straight AC. Every clip labeled B was the exact same system, but running through the UberBUSS with upgraded GR Research power cords in the chain. That's it. No mic changes, no speaker changes, no room changes, no tricks, no gotchas, just one variable, the power feeding the system. And that begs the question, what did you hear in the sound clips that we shared last week? Wouldn't it be interesting if Norah's analysis lined up with what you heard? Well, heck, what are we waiting for? There's only one way to find out. With clip A, wall power plus stock power cords, Norah noted slightly thicker mid-range, softer transients, a little extra low mid-bloom, a narrower stereo image, less depth, more congestion on busy passages, slightly noisier ambience, a touch less articulation on micro dynamics. On clip B, the UberBUSS plus upgraded cords, cleaner mid-range, tighter, more controlled bass. I definitely heard that, by the way. Faster micro transients, wider stereo spread, more stable center image. I definitely heard that, by the way. More depth and dimensionality. I definitely heard that, by the way. Clearer separation between layers and slightly calmer background texture. Now, here's something that I really need you to consider here. The sound shed isn't tied to the house on some random breaker. It is on its own meter. Every single outlet is on its own dedicated breaker. And that meter, it's perfectly balanced with matching loads on every leg. Now, this is as clean and controlled as residential power gets. Imagine running this same experiment in a typical home where your audio system is sharing circuits with the refrigerator, with the freezer, with the microwave, with ceiling fans, chargers, TVs, HVAC blowers, everything. Folks, if this experiment showed repeatable differences in a room this isolated, what do you think happens in a house that isn't? Remember that question that we tucked away in our pocket a little bit earlier? If the preamp output showed no meaningful difference, then why did the in-room recordings come back with changes that you could actually hear? It made me wonder, could it be that both system states naturally appeared identical to Norah, or maybe we discovered a limitation in her analysis? But then I got to thinking, is it possible that focusing on line level noise is just one small part of a much bigger puzzle? Because once you put real demand on the system, when the amps are pushing current into the speakers, when the drivers are moving air, when the room begins to respond to that energy, that's a layer of the system that we didn't touch in the preamp test. And that's what led me right back to the in-room recordings, because that's where the differences showed up, and they showed up each and every single time. So let's bring this full circle. When we started this video, I said we were going to shine a light on a myth, the one that you hear every time power cords or conditioners come up. They don't matter. They can't matter. It's all in your head. It's all snake oil. But after everything we just walked through, the testing, the retesting, the sandbox chaos, Norah and Melody agreeing, then disagreeing, the line level experiment, and finally, the room recordings, 72% of you still heard something through a chain that should have erased any trace of a difference. And that's when it hit me. Maybe the myth we're shining a light on wasn't the real myth at all. Maybe, just maybe, the thing that we've been calling snake oil for decades is actually the part that isn't a myth. As for the real myth, the one that we've been repeating without thinking, is the theory that power cords and conditioners don't make a difference. Folks, before we wrap this up, I just want to take a second to thank everyone who participated in this experiment. Your feedback, your votes, your curiosity, that's what pushed this whole project forward. If you enjoyed what we did here, do me a favor, hit the like button, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe if you haven't already. It helps me more than you know, and it keeps projects like this alive. Now, earlier in the video, I said that I would show you how you can test this for yourself, and I meant it. In the description, you're going to find the A/B clips that we used as we were feeding them to ChatGPT, and you can download them and you can listen to them for as long as you like on whatever system that you want that you trust the most. And if you want to dig a little bit deeper like we did, I've also included a short guide on how we fed these clips into ChatGPT and how to avoid the hiccups that we ran into and how to set yourself up for clean, repeatable results. Will you get every single result that we got? Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. But I can promise you this, those clips will never analyze the same way inside ChatGPT once you see how the sandbox behaves. And that in itself might be the most interesting part of the whole experiment. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video.